A very good evening to all the guests here. My name is Babar, and I come from this place called Kashmir. Amir Khusro, when he went to Kashmir, and later when the emperor, visited Kashmir, he, he recited a poem, and it goes like this: Gar firdos baru e zami ast, hami asto, hami asto, hami ast. If there is paradise on earth, it is here, it is here, it is here. I come from Kashmir, and when I was growing up in Kashmir, I literally had a backdrop of terrorism in Kashmir. And that time, the only hope for anyone living in Kashmir, for the young people in Kashmir, was education. If you were good academically, you would aim at, finding a good job outside of Jammu and Kashmir and hope for a better life. There was nothing in Kashmir that time. I also did that. I was above average academically, and I was able to find a good job. And at that time, if anyone wanted to leave Kashmir for good, it was me. I hated that place like anything. After my graduation, I got lucky, I got a job. And it was later I realized that I had something different in me. When you grow up in a place which is disturbed and you grow up there, youth there has a tendency of being able to deliver in limited resources. And they're practically problem solvers. And that led me to my first job, where an MNC had literally advertised they were looking for a problem solver. And I found my first job. Life was good. I grew up very well in my professional career. I got to consult with some of the best companies around the world. As I was growing in my professional career, I found my love in technology. People say that I'm a hacker. I was literally in love with technology. I did some really good work as a hacker and as an information security professional. The only skill that time which I had was I had a different view of things, and I think that is what a hacker is supposed to do. Then all of this was happening, and suddenly there was a change in my life. This picture is actually something which divides my life, my past life and my current life. I'll tell you the fact, my professional career, being a hacker, it goes without saying that when you engage me to make the locks of your house, you can never treat me badly, right? You won't. With that, I could negotiate a lot of luxuries in my life. So I've been very close to luxury life. It was that bad that at times when, my friends and I, we were in office and we used to take flights, international flights, only because the food which was served in the flight was tastier than what was cooked at home. It was that bad. It's difficult at times because when your second home is Las Vegas in Silicon Valley, it's difficult because I literally had my life there. It's one of the days, I used to come back home many times, and I used to see that, my friends and my family, cousins, they were not doing very well. There was some kind of a guilt. I never had an answer. I felt bad, and I was the last one who would stay back home. I immediately went back, and life was good, and I did not want to hang up in Jammu and Kashmir, even in my short visits. A few years back, I was just scrolling on my iPad. There was a news done by Telegraph, and that news said that 25,000 Pashmina goats had died because of starvation. And this happened in a place, a high altitude. It's about 18,000 feet above sea level in Ladakh, about 500 kilometers from Ladakh, actually, from Leh. These 25,000 goats had died because of starvation, because of the erratic climate cycle. Climate change is happening, and we know that's a reality. Places where, it used to snow about 5 centimeters that year, the snow was about 118 centimeters, and the goats did not have food for 3 months, and that is why they died. There was something in that moment I felt there's a message for me. I do not know how I caught it, but this was something strange with me, because I believe, and I'm a strong believer, that the biggest decisions of your life don't take more than a moment. And that is what happened to me. What I did, that moment I decided, this is it. This is the biggest challenge thrown in front of me. I mean, I was a technology guy, a business consulting guy. I had handled a lot of technology and business problems, but this was something different, and I was not even capable, neither physically or mentally, to do this. That moment I said, I will do something, and I think it's the frame which says it all, that I chose to become a shepherd, and I started living with these shepherds and travel like a nomad. I became a nomad. In fact, this was the decision that I will have a nomadic life. What happened when I chose to live in the mountains was, I used to travel with these nomads for months together, and whenever I used to come back to the nearest town, anyone who used to speak to me loudly, I was very disturbed. And when I heard a car honk, it was very disturbing for me. The reason was my sensitivity levels had increased many folds. I became sensitive. It goes without saying, because I'm a Pashmina activist, the only one in the world. It brings a lot of women in my life, naturally, because Pashmina is a women thing, right? But it also, on a serious note, it also makes me sensitive at many levels to understand, because men, we are not capable to even understand and appreciate a lot of things. I have been an artist as a child, and what I did, I started painting and posing questions. I dedicated all my art, posing questions and sensitizing people. There's a community in Himalayas, typically called Changpas. These are shepherds and nomads. They are physically acclimatized to live in temperatures below -30 and at altitudes above 15,000 feet. I was not physically even capable to handle that without oxygen. I made a lot of blunders. I almost died there, and that's where the story became serious, because these shepherds saved me. The transition that happened in my life from a corporate career to choosing to become a shepherd and then becoming the voice of the people who literally, I was not able to communicate because there's a Tibetan dialect, there's a certain language they speak. All that I've done in the past 5-6 years is like communicate through signs only. But I represent the community and fight their battles globally. I thought that I would be teaching these shepherds a lot of things because I come from a corporate background. I know so much. And I've been doing that. I've had several press conferences, had training programs for them, ensuring that they are brought up into the value chain of the Pashmina ecosystem. I've done a lot of crazy things like that. While I was doing that, and they were very, they were obedient students, they learned a lot of things. But now when I sit and think about it, I was the student. They taught me a lot of things. And they taught me so many things that they sorted me forever. Things which were big, in my past life appeared small, and the things which were small, they appeared big. And now what I bring to everyone is the lessons and the message from these shepherds. There's certain kind of symbolism in the relationship between a shepherd and a goat. And this relationship has lesson for everyone, for homemakers, for professionals, for CEOs, for startups. I think there's so solid messages, which I will share with you. If we put them in the right context, they will sort everyone's life, like I sorted mine. This is the first lesson, shed excess baggage. While the community accepted me as one of their own and welcomed me with a traditional pagadi, there was some kind of a channel of communication. Now I'll tell you, if I have to understand if this society is happy or sad, there is no picture, right? I cannot click a picture of society, right? But what I know that this society is continuously generating data. And with the data, through your phones, through your Chromes and the cookies that you generate on your browsers, there's certain kind of pattern that you can pull out. And with that pattern, with that data, it creates some kind of a graph. That graph creates a geometry, and that geometry creates a picture, and that picture is talking. And sometimes what happens, this picture is totally talking something which is contradictory to what you are seeing in society. Now say for example, if there is, if we say that in Noida or in Amity University, in the month of November, students Google paracetamol. Now I pick up data from Google Trends and see that everyone in Amity University in the month of November is searching for paracetamol. What is the reason? Now there are two sides to this. Two sides are, on one side, I would know that there is a definite headache in Amity, and that headache can be linked to November. Now, I can look at it from two angles. One is an entrepreneur's side where I say, all right, in November, if I open or if I buy paracetamol, I can sell it off in Amity anytime, I can make a lot of money. Every November this happens. Now there's another side to it, which is the social side to the same thing, where I say, all right, maybe, there is some kind of problem related to overparking or exams or something of that sort, which is the reason why the students are getting a headache and they're searching for paracetamol. Now, I start working with the heads of the institution to figure out how the problem can be solved. Now, there are two ways. One was the entrepreneurial side, one was the social side, right? And I chose the second one. Now, shedding excess baggage, the lesson and the message from these shepherds is, unless you're able to shed excess baggage, if you're always full, you do not know how to leave things, you would not be in a position to solve any problem. You will not be able to help anyone. The only thing is, you have to be light to bring in light, right? I became an artist, and I have chosen the medium as Pashmina. So this is one of my paintings done in Pashmina by needles and Pashmina goat hair. This is Einstein, right? I'm a big fan of Einstein. Now, this guy, the genius of the last century, when he was asked about his opinion about religion and God, he expressed his amazement about something like, he was amazed with the order in the universe. But he refuted the presence of any super being there deciding heaven or hell. But he said this order is amazing. My life was a chaos. Before my past life was chaos. And now, looking at what I see things, the way I see things now, he mentioned, Einstein said, it is not about God, it is about godliness. And the cosmic order is always having a plan for you. My life, which was something which I got, I connected with myself when I was practically in US and other places. I was connected at every level, physically with my phones and computers and what not. But when I physically disconnected, because when you go out of Leh, 10 kilometers after that there is no network connectivity, there's no GSM tower. And I'm 500 kilometers from there. No way to charge your batteries, no connection at all. But the best connections that I've made globally happen in that time. This was amazing. Strangers have come and helped me. I have solid contacts in Hollywood, even to White House, to name it. I'm connected there only. And after 1 year, I get a message from Time magazine, and they said, oh, we have been looking at your work for 1.5 years. We want to do a story on you. Now, this was amazing because I was working right next to the Time office in US and never bothered. Nothing happened there. And when I'm disconnected, all the connections happened, right? Now, the second lesson, a very important lesson. Wilfredo Pareto, the second lesson is count your sheep. It's a daily thing for shepherds. It's a daily thing for me. Wilfredo Pareto, an Italian economist, he said, in this chaos, he was studying the ownership of land in Italy, and he said, in this chaos, I want to understand the ownership of land, and he said 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. He went to his kitchen garden, he said 80% of the peas are in 20% of the pea pods. He said 80% of the sales of most of the companies come from 20% of the clients. If we even classify the wealth of the richest top 10 people, Carlos, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, the combined wealth of top 2 and 3 is equivalent to the combined wealth of the next 7 or 8. Now there is an underlying symmetry. Even United Nations Development Program, they published a report in 1997 which said that the wealth disbursement around the world, 20% of the rich control 87.2% of the global wealth. Now there was an underlying connection. In chaos there is a symmetry. Now when you look at these patterns, if you step back, you try to understand the big picture. To understand the big picture, you cannot be so close to the picture. You have to take a step back to appreciate what is happening. Like for a shepherd, every goat is precious. Every goat is precious. A shepherd from dawn to dusk does this twice, counts his sheep every day. And if you really, we get problems, but they are disguised as problems as they are opportunities. And only if we have the commitment and the will to comprehend those problems, there are underlying opportunities. Only if we are able to count the strengths and weaknesses are we able to make our life count. Lesson number 3, seek greener pastures. Now, this is me actually with my herd. When as intelligent people, as people who are educated, we are free to take any direction in our life. Divergence, the word is disagreement. Disagreement from normal is a very common thing now. TEDx is a platform where I disagree. I seriously disagree with many things in life. Divergence is a reality. Be it businesses or society, be it stars and subatomic strata, it's a common theme that binds everything. And human innovation has been about channelizing that disagreement, that divergence, and reducing the volatility that comes with that divergence. Now recently, advancements in quantum physics, the new age quantum findings in advanced physics are pointing in a certain direction, that the output of an experiment is controlled by the state of mind of the experimenter. Meaning, what you seek will control the output. Meaning, when Shah Rukh Khan says wo kainat wala dialogue is technically true. Meaning, you are able to control things. The physical manifestation of your thoughts is very powerful. And when you seek honestly, you set yourself on a journey. And when you set yourself on a journey, you travel. And you travel into your soul. Or you travel through this world. Or both. And when you're on this journey, that is when you find yourself. This is why seeking greener pastures is a lesson for everyone from these shepherds. Face the wolves. It's a daily thing. Every night there are wolves and snow leopards we are fighting with these shepherds. Pashmina goats are always under attack from snow leopards in that region. When you're at an altitude, physical or even in your life, at any altitude, there's a fear. But that fear is there to prepare you, as it is there to prepare the shepherds. The shepherds that time do not sit back. They do not get depressed with that fear of attack of wolves. Because if they stop their flock, that is not wise. Because it's a chain of life. They have to continue moving, right? And while they move, that is where they discover their own power. As we know, in this picture, I'm with one of my heroes, Yusuf, wherein, it's a play of opposite. As I say, life is a play of opposite. Be it science, positive, negative, yin-yang, wisdom traditions. One is defining the other always. He's defining me and I'm defining him. It's like diamonds. A diamond is nothing but coal doing well under pressure. We know it. It's about facing your internal demons every day. That's the lesson you get from these shepherds. A very interesting thing. This is one of my favorite lessons which I got. Leave the pasture. When we do well in life, what happens? In a group, if I'm doing very well, what happens? My risk-taking ability increases. I will flaunt a lot. And when that happens, I forget when to exit the party. Exiting the party is very, very important. A shepherd knows no pasture, no matter how green it is, will stay forever. It has to, the shepherd has to take its flock from one side to the other for its flock to survive. Eleanor Ostrom, who died recently and her work got her a Nobel Prize, she explained a beautiful concept where she said, let us all imagine that we are all shepherds and there is a common pasture in the middle. Babar has one cow. I send this cow to graze on this common pasture, and the cow comes back, I milk it, I make cheese, I sell it, my family is fine, I am doing well. You all see that Babar is doing very well. Let's all have one cow each. You all add one cow to your kitty and you send it to this pasture to graze. I said, this is bad. I add one more. I need more, I add more. You also see the Babar is adding more, you continue to add more. But what happens? All the houses around this pasture are sending their cows to a common land to graze. And suddenly one day everyone wakes up and sees there is a tragedy that has happened. And the tragedy is that the cows are back in my house hungry. There's nothing left to graze. There's a tragedy that happened on the common. This forces everyone in that house to migrate. There's a magic. This pasture needs time to grow. The cow is a symbol of need, actually greed. We do not know when to stop. As I hated my land like anyone, and I was the first one to leave, I never wanted to come back. Coming from a background in physics and maths and whatever, there's a concept in stock markets where, if a group is moving in direction either positive or negative, the elements which are on the extreme, they have a tendency to come back. Meaning, I actually wrote an article recently where I said the probability of falling in love with the one you hate is always high. What happens when there are when there is war? At the end of it, prolonged spells of peace. I was on the extreme. I never wanted to come back. And today, I represent my state. I love my state for many reasons. And I am, I'm so behind. I live in villages and mountains where practically just next to China. And I represent my state. From Las Vegas to it was a big transition. It was a challenge for me. Leaving the pasture is a lesson that these shepherds give. Herbert Simon, father of artificial intelligence and behavioral finance, he said, every complex problem you're trying to solve is basically small comprehensible components which are placed in hierarchy. And if you are able to comprehend and solve one small component, you will be able to handle the big problem. Now, we have a society which is very fragmented. In the same society, we'll find that people will say, how can I fight climate change? How can I fight poverty? It's a problem created by my grandfathers. How am I even capable to handle this? I do not have the resources. I am not the policy maker. I am not the prime minister or president or chief minister of the country. How can I handle this problem? But in the same society, you will find there are people who will say, let us fight climate change. Let us fight poverty. Now, this divergence is what has preserved society for ages, for centuries. This disagreement that people without resources stand up and say, I want to fight poverty. I want to fight for these people. This disagreement. Now, no matter how high, there's a wheel of life. Everyone in their life, they struggle. I used to make money, to get fame, to do something, right? But at the end, I think there is one common thing that everyone wants to achieve, to set themselves free. And when you set yourself free, it's the last mountain, the highest mountain of your life. And when you want to do that, maybe small petty things you can always leave. And there's no mountain which is too high. As for the shepherds, if it is the goats want to graze and they need it, the shepherds will go any length to ensure that they are fed and they live. This is one of my work. It's called The Butterfly World. It will be on a global exhibit soon. You will see one, the idea is that if a butterfly flutters its wings anywhere in the world, it triggers a direct storm in other part of the world. There is a direct link. It's so powerful. So we are all connected. Now one wing of the butterfly is actually the wing of the butterfly. The other wing is the map of the world. If you tilt it, you will find that there's a world map. It's the difference, it's that every small contribution helps. It's like the butterflies brewing a storm. Living with the animals, and even today when I sit back and feel, why did I do what I have done so far? The only relation I found is that maybe as a child I used to play with goats. I have no other explanation to why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I believe a worldwide celebration of love and the greatest spiritual revolution will be experienced if animals will feel as joyous as humans or children's, our own children's. Now before I end, a lot of people ask me, how did you find that this was your calling? I still do not have an answer. But coming from a background in numbers, I was, recently I've started to put a few thoughts together in the form of a book. The book is called 6 Times Thinner. I'll give you a background. When I started to look at things, I found a certain pattern in my life. I was born on 15th, which makes a number 6. I'm the 6th child in my family, maybe the last one and maybe the useless one. I have 5 brothers and sisters. Recently when I started looking at things and I started compiling things, I wrote about 10 chapters in my book and I sent it to the publisher. The publisher sends it back, said there's an overlap. Redo it. And when I redo it, it comes to 6 chapters. Recently when it became obvious to me, I started looking at my journey tickets, be it bus, train, flights. Even the ticket which I got to come here, the flight was 6E Indigo. When I went to a lab, because I'm an activist and I do a lot of, I sue a lot of people who sell fake Pashmina. I got a lab report which said that Pashmina goat hair, the finest, is 6 times thinner than human hair. And to certify if this is the right Pashmina, you have to have at least 15 lab tests. Again a 6. Now I relate this to a lot of things, and when I see 6, 6 is the time when that God took 6 days to make this world. Old Testament. Now 6, there are practically 6 dimensions: north, south, east, west, up and down. The Star of David has 5 points. I love music, and most of the strings, octave, guitars, they have 6 strings. There's a lot of symbolism there. 6. The highest number on a dice is 6. Even when you try to dig deeper, Pashmina name comes from Pashma, which is a 6-letter word. Anything which is doing good, today if you go and you want to book a domain anywhere in the world for your website, you would look for, all the companies which are doing well are 6-letter words. It's very difficult to get a 6-letter domain name. Amazing. I landed here last night and the guys gave me a room key. It was number 6. This is very strange, right? Now I do not know if this is my calling, but I see there is a message somewhere. Because the moment I disconnected myself from a lot of things happening outside, I think I activated a bigger plan. In the end, I'm writing this entire thing. I dedicate this entire work to the shepherds and nomads in Changthan Valley and the weavers in Kashmir. I fight for their rights. They are the heroes. They have a very big stake in the Pashmina, luxury Pashmina ecosystem around the world. I would end with a share Mohsin Naqvi said, and I dedicate it to the community and to the shepherds. It says, "Chalo Mohsin mohabbat ki nayi bunyad rakhte hain." Chalo Mohsin, apne ko hi kehta hai, Mohsin Naqvi. Chalo Mohsin मोहब्बत की नई बुनियाद रखते हैं, खुद पाबंद रहते हैं, उसे आज़ाद करते हैं। कहीं मोहब्बत में हमसे गुस्ताखी ना हो जाए, हम अपना हर कदम उसके कदम के बाद रखते हैं। थैंक यू।